And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel guys. I hope you're all well. Before we do get into today's video, as always, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. Guys, different location again, don't worry, we'll be back to the new setup fairly soon. Just arrived in Bangkok, so if I do go missing over the next couple of days, you know the famous saying, Bangkok has it now. Now, all jokes aside guys, but as I said, I am going to be back to some sort of structure very soon. I know the live streams haven't been going as well recently. Just been constantly sort of on the move. However, that doesn't stop Rangers news, and that doesn't give me an excuse to not upload videos. Now, in today's video, guys, we're going to be discussing a bit of transfer news. There's a bit of news with regards to Alfredo Morelos, a bit of news with regards to Leon King, and then a few other bits and pieces within the Rangers space. But yeah, let's start with Leon King. Leon King, of course, featured fairly heavily last season. Well, highly rated within the sort of Rangers camp. Was kind of thrown into playing for us during the Champions League, or the disastrous Champions League spell we had last season, just due to our sheer amount of injuries he had to fill in. Again, it's not like he didn't not do well or anything like that, but obviously the whole team didn't do really that well, and as an 18-year-old to be thrusted in games against Liverpool, Napoli, then Ajax, it's a tough learning curve, but look, he would have learned a lot from those games going forward. However, now of course coming into this season, coming into the sort of summer, he did pick up a bit of an injury, a sort of long-term one that's kind of ruled him out till this day, and that's sort of reason why we brought in Leon Balogun back in the summer as sort of like a free replacement for Leon King. However, now as we approach the January transfer window, due to him returning back from injury and due to Rangers wanting to go out to get game time, it is being reported that he is set for a January exit out on loan. Which again, I don't really disagree with. As I said, this is coming from fairly reputable sources, but basically stated that the defender will be going out to find game time in the January transfer window. Whether he goes or stays in the Scottish Premiership or goes down to England remains to be seen. However, one thing for certain, it does seem as though he will be the sort of first exit of that January transfer window, and only on a temporary basis. And I think Rangers rate him very highly. Signed a new long-term contract not too long ago. And it wasn't so long ago that a lot of teams were sort of on the lookout for him, sending scouts to our games to watch him, and it was almost a battle for us to sort of sign him down for a longer term deal. And again, that's not a situation, that's not in doubt, but it does seem as though he will be going for a January loan move, which is exciting for the player, but hopefully they get it right. I think Alex Lowry's sort of loan deal that he had to Hearts was a perfect sort of match, and not a team that's sort of dwelling down at the bottom of the Scottish Premiership. And we've seen it time and time again when they go to those sorts of teams, are young prospects, and then kind of just disappear forever. So again, I would say like a Hearts would actually be a perfect team to go to, or we're talking maybe lower end Championship or higher end sort of League One. It will sort of remain to be seen where he actually goes with regards to that. And when I mean Championship, I mean down in England, not the Scottish Championship. So game time is imperative for him, and as I said, hopefully he can find a decent club for the short term in January. Now, going into other news, guys, we've been talking a lot recently about our sort of striking problems up top in terms of us scoring goals. We've not been able to score goals, and the game against Hearts, the most recent game against Hearts, will show that very clearly. We've been struggling to find, or struggling to put the ball into the back of the net at times, despite us creating loads and loads of chances in games. Just in that match against Hearts at Tynecastle, we probably should have won the game 4 or 5-0. Danilo missed a good couple, Ridvan Yilmaz missed a couple, and we've always been heavily reliant on just 1 or 2 different goal scorers recently, and we're not converting the chances that we are actually creating. So it's a huge problem, as we documented in yesterday's video, and it is highly expected that we will go into the January transfer window and bring in a striker. Of course, straight away, as we lead up to it, Lawrence Shanklin's been sort of linked to the football club. However, despite this, there's no real concrete news on him actually going to be joining Rangers, nor is there any concrete interest or concrete news that Rangers are actually interested in the player. It's kind of just the former players, Barry Ferguson's, Chris Boyd's, people in the sort of media that are kind of linking the player to Rangers. There is actually no concrete links at this moment in time. Now that brings us to today's subject, Alfredo Morelos. Now, Alfredo Morelos, if you ask many Rangers fans, certainly me, for those of you that have been watching the channel for all the years that I've done it, you'll know that I love Alfredo Morelos. He's one of my favourite players. Him and James Tavernier, my favourite players in the sort of Rangers recent era. However, last season did not go to plan. Ever since he got that injury following the Europa, I can't remember where he maybe picked it up, but it was after the Dortmund game, certainly. It was around March time of 2022, was out for the remainder of the season, came back in the summer, was overweight and was just dreadful to watch. Antonio Sholak was filling in, he was doing the business for us, and Alfredo Morelos was kind of surplus to requirements. He did make cameo appearances here and there, did score goals here and then when required on, but his attitude and his overall weight was a massive problem for us. Anyway, fast forward into the summer, after lots of toing and froing of where he was going to go. He was obviously released by Rangers. Bill stated that he was never offered a contract. It wasn't that Morelos didn't want to stay. It was the fact that they didn't want to offer him a new deal, supposedly to Michael Bill. Anyway, gets to the summer, and for a long period of time, he couldn't find a club. Then kind of Fenerbahce links came up, Watford links came up before then he made a shock move towards the Brazilian Serie A with Santos. Now, of course, since then, he has been kind of coming back from injury, and if you actually look at Alfredo Morelos now, he actually does look pretty lean. He's looking really fit, and as I said, he has struggled with injuries in this sort of early part, or the latter part, should I say, of the Brazilian Serie A season. I think he only ever made 3 league appearances. Anyway, you all already heard the news by now that Santos have been relegated from the Brazilian Serie A for the first time in their history, which was a huge shock. Crazy scenes out in Brazil. Santos, 112-year history, never been relegated down to the sort of second division. However, weirdly enough, they did. And there was a clause within Alfredo Morelos' contract. Basically, if that Santos did get relegated to the second division, he would be able to be released from his contract for 3. Now, there is no news with regards to the Colombian actually being released at this moment in time, but there is a release clause within his contract that if Santos were to have got relegated or did get relegated, then he could leave as a free agent. Now, obviously, following this, there is a lot of clubs now interested in Alfredo Morelos. Again, this comes from fairly decent journalists, which I do find quite an issue considering he couldn't find a club throughout the summer. Santos was his best option. However, of course, Rangers are going to be linked with the player, or have been linked with the player, about potentially coming back on a free transfer. Again, just to hold my hands up here, I don't necessarily think that Alfredo Morelos will be coming back. However, I'm bringing you the news, reports stating that Rangers could swoop in for him. The fact that we're problematic with our striking department, a free transfer as well, a player who has proven to score goals time and time again under a new sort of regime under Philippe Clement, under and then, you know, a new attitude, a new lease of life, a real kick up the arse. It could be a situation where he could actually go on and play for Rangers. Certainly one to keep an eye on. Again, for the record, I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but I probably would be all for it. He's looking lean now. He's come back from his injuries. He's had a little bit of a kick up the arse, and Alfredo Morelos for me is always going to have a special place in my heart as a Rangers player. So on a free transfer, I would take him every single day of the week. But remains to be seen what happens on that regard. It's also been said that Watford are again interested in the player as well, but certainly one to watch on. Rangers fans, do let me know your thoughts on Alfredo Morelos. Would you take him back on a free transfer, yes or no? Let me know down there in the comment section below. And also let me know your thoughts in regards to Leon King. Do you think Leon King going out on loan is a good idea, or do you think he could be playing a void within our team? What team would you send Leon King out on loan to? As I said, let me know down there in the comment section below. That brings us to the end of today's video. As always, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. Remember, we have dropped our Rangers Christmas collection, so do browse it by going down into the link in the description or going to rfcclothing.com. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.